I think that theater has been strangely hijacked in the culture wars for a long time. Obviously, I'm not trying to dismiss Shakespeare. Like, yes, he was gay. Also, he was a genius. And he wrote amazing plays. Many amazing plays. Some pretty bad turkeys, too, but
in general, pretty good.
So, yeah. You know what? 4.5 out of 5 stars.
For Shakespeare.
Met a ghost of a king on the road when I first fell. Fire burning to my knees I fell. Met a ghost of a king on the road.
Here we go. We're gonna start SASF with a question about developing taste, I think. But
oh, good.
I got this question without a lot of meat on the bones. Nancy Drew stories, are they healthy soul food for a teenage girl?
Never finished one.
Never finished one. Well, you're not a teenage girl.
That's why I don't feel bad that I've never finished one. No, I would think not.
And why? Can you flesh that out a little?
I think that it could be a totally acceptable snack.
Sure. But not healthy soul food.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a bowl of Doritos, right? But if somebody starts eating 6 bowls of Doritos a day, then you can be like, meh. You know, if some girl becomes hooked on just that level, and this is what normally happens with the like Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew. There was a Christian version, Sugar Creek Gang, when I was a kid. The people get hooked. I love to read stories, and so it's just like doing laps, doing another one, and just rolling through, and not growing. So it can be a retardant. It can stunt what you're doing. Yeah. If you become like too narrow in your taste and you just start eating those Doritos, those potato chips. But at the same time, there's nothing wrong with potato chips or Doritos. It's just that you need to actually have a real entree. You need to get to the real food and move past extremely simple, little storytelling.
All those books published by the Stratmeyer Institute, is that what they are? That's Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew, Tom Swift, Bobbsey Twins, all of those.
Right. Bobbsey Twins, yeah.
Yeah, all of those, I was reading up on them, and they had that 2-page outline that an author would, they would even pay someone like $25, write the 2-page outline for us, and then they'd contract that out even by chapter, and then they went down to outlining chapter. So it makes me wonder if some of that explanation could even be helpful, to be like, hey, do you realize...
No, these are the AI books of their time.
Yeah. There's nothing special about it. You need to realize they're all the same. Yep. It's just a money-making.
So let's put it this way. I'll move off the Doritos, because Doritos even have a little more to them. If you said, man, my teenage daughter just keeps doing, she gets hitting whipped cream. Every time she walks by the fridge, she pulls out the whipped cream. It's like, I was like, is that healthy soul food? Like, I wouldn't throw a fit about it. Yeah. If it's occasional. Yeah. It's like, it's kind of like, ha, ha, ha. Yeah. It's like, that's funny. Yeah. But no, this should not be your meal. This should not be you thinking, yeah, I ate today. Like, yeah, I'm feeding my imagination. Not really.
So I think it's really familiar. I think you get in that zone where it's like, this is very familiar. I know exactly what it's going to be. And actually, there's nothing surprising here that I really have to work on. It's just
mass produced.
Kind of but I do remember when Walter Kern came on and talked about the Hardy Boys on SASF. He was laughing, I think, about the fact that that's all he read, is that he loved the Hardy Boys.
That's an example. I've heard this before of these are the kinds of books that can get people into reading. So when somebody's on this journey and they're moving through, and they, especially if they're like learning to walk. So when a reader is kind of, let's put it this way. If you have a kid and reading a Nancy Drew feels old, reading a Nancy Drew is a reach for that kid's age. That's awesome. It's like, go, like knock it out. And then make sure they don't stop there. Try to keep them growing, but there's plenty of little gateway drugs to reading good stuff. There's plenty of stops on the journey, and there's a lot of, there's just a lot of ways people can get to the good stuff and find that story grip and get hooked on the concept of reading and the joy of reading and consuming the written word. And that's all great. But again, back to teenage girl, healthy soul food.
So you're more flagging on the teenage part of this.
Yeah.
Because it's like, if you're...
And the 2 parts, teenage girl, healthy soul food.
Sure.
So teenage girl, and this is her diet.
Sure.
It's like, well, we've got to diversify. We've got to get some protein in there. So 10-year-old girl, on her way up, even a 13-year-old girl who's like, yeah, I blitzed through all these and now I'm reading Anna Karenina. Like, great.
Yeah, I've got no trouble.
I've got no problem with that. I've got no problem with that kind of journey. I have a problem with people who hit a cul-de-sac and stay. Sure. And that is very normal. There are people who have a journey, and there's people who hit cul-de-sacs and they stay at Star Wars fan fiction, Star Trek fan fiction, Nancy Drew, Hardy Boys, Tor fantasy novels. They just stay. There's a lot of different ways people can stall out and then not actually diversify or get to the good stuff.
What's one of the best ways to help a kid diversify here? Because I think you said don't freak out about it.
Yeah, no, don't make it a big deal.
Yeah, just as a parent, you're thinking, oh, let's get some.
Try to find her something fun.
Yeah, something that's doing the same thing
that makes her reach a little bit.
Yeah,
and so when a kid is playing down, so if you were to ask me, is it okay for my son to play fifth graders in basketball? I don't know. How old's your son? Like, is he 16? He should knock it off. He should go like push himself against 18-year-olds. It's like, are you going down? Now, if a girl has a voracious appetite and she's reading tons of Nancy Drew and just, just chewing it up. And so she ends up kind of reading down below her intellect, below her capacity, because she has an appetite that cannot be sated without journeying into like YA filth or something. Like, well, just try to find, like, work harder, go to the classics.
So that
really break a sweat, read a fatter book with her and have the conversation about it. Because a lot of times, like, this mindlessness, well, hey, at least she's in the corner quietly reading. It makes your life easier. It simplifies everything. And I don't think it's a big deal. Just like I'm saying, as long as it's a journey.
Yeah. I was thinking too, how even things have changed. I don't have a teen yet, but how we think about Hank the Cowdog, right? It's one of those similar sorts of books where it's like, yeah, that's great to be reading a chapter book. But now when my sixth grader's like, can I read Hank the Cowdog? You're like, maybe one in between.
You should ring King Solomon's Mines.
Right. Yep, he has. I think I kicked him through that. Oh, no, we all read it together. That was a fun one.
Yeah.
Okay, good. I think sometimes peeling back the labor or the cover on how exactly those books are formulated and what that is and what exactly is going on. But I think, again, our goal for fiction is sometimes to not be stretched. We're trying to relax into something.
Yeah.
And so there actually might not be a huge pool of things you could just
relax
there
is
into.
100%. Like, if your daughter just finished, a big push in school and she kind of is blobbing on a Saturday morning and pumps through a Nancy Drew, doesn't bother me at all.
Right.
It's not it's not toxic. It's not dangerous, except as a cul-de-sac where you get stuck.
Right. Okay. On to a question about theater. Why are there so few Christian playwrights these days? But Nate, they go on. Over 100 million people in the U.S. watch community theater all the way to Broadway. It's one of the most compelling art forms. When's the last time you watched a play? I can tell you I made a terrible mistake and took my kid to see Macbeth up in a Coeur d'Alene theater, thinking that I sat down and thought, oh no, what did I do? I had heard the hype about it. Someone had recommended it, and then we went up there and we thought, we just watched community theater, and it was not good. The actors were not good, and
but
they tried.
Why do we not have very many Christian playwrights? I'm not sure why we would.
Most of us watch theater because our kids are in it.
Yeah.
It's like school plays.
Or because friends are and we're guilted.
But Shakespeare, Nate.
Sure. Yeah. There are some great productions of Shakespeare available on video. Like high level Hamlet, various various things. The art form has moved on, and it's quaint. It's fundamentally local. I don't have beef with it. I don't have any, real. I have no problem with it. We have an MFA grad, great guy who did a lot in community theater in Southern California. I have friends who've done stuff in theater. Ultimately, film is kind of where theater currently occurs. So the journey from Shakespeare on, this is how it has evolved into series and feature films. So
you're thinking that is almost a better version of the genre. So theater has that live aspect.
It's more compelling.
Yeah, film is.
Yeah, I mean,
generally.
Yeah. So it's definitely more compelling. So if somebody said 100 million people watch community theater all the way up.
Well, 17 million at Broadway tickets in a year. And then 762 million movie tickets in the U.S.
Right. So, I mean, that's a number that I have personally beaten. I have put content out in 1 year that has been viewed more than every single Broadway show in that year. So all of Broadway combined, and just something from a little known guy in Northern Idaho.
You've beat it.
And I've beaten it.
That should go in your byline.
And
I've beaten Broadway.
And all that to say, it's not because I'm big. It's because narrative storytelling is global and is massive, and across North America and the world, theater is not primarily how people are being moved. Mm-hmm. Now it's experiential, and so people really like seeing Hamilton live, and it can be a compelling thing. Mm-hmm. People like the spectacle of it and the live performance of it. I've got no problem with that.
I mean, it feels kind of like when people say, "Oh, do you like this artist?" and you say, "Yeah," and they say, "Have you seen them live?"
Yeah,
and you think,
No, I haven't.
No, I haven't, but I still like the artist.
Yeah, and it'd be fun to see them live if they happen to come through Moscow,
right? on their Northwest tour.
Yeah, but anyway. I think theater is cool. I think theater has a ton of potential. I think that theater is strangely hijacked, has been strangely hijacked in the culture wars for a long time. And that includes series and feature film, but especially stage. So
yeah, it's become code for not good stuff.
It's been gay for a long time.
Yeah.
And so not everything is, but it really has been. Now go back to Shakespeare and think that every single one of those chicks was being played by a dude. Mm. Like that they were putting dudes in drag because women were, it was misogyny. It was also just gay. Mm. It's just wild, so there's some great works. I've got, obviously I'm not trying to dismiss Shakespeare. Like, yes, he was gay. Also, he was a genius, and he wrote amazing plays, many amazing plays, some pretty bad turkeys too, but
in general, pretty good.
So yeah. You know what? 4.5 out of 5 stars
for Shakespeare.
But
you heard it here.
He did some good stuff, right? And he created this narrative form in a major way in the English language.
Yeah.
And so we're downstream from what he did, and the viewership is massive, 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 massive. And so it's like trying to go back, and this is hyperbolic, but it's like trying to go back and print a book with movable type. Mm. I'm like, that's cool.
Sure.
That's cool. But it's very boutique.
Yeah.
And theater can be a great way to impact your local community. It can be a great way to impact your school. It can be a great way to impact your town. And I have no beef with that. I think it's great. Mm. But it's something that's cool and retro. You're kind of going back to the archaic, and that appeals to me. So that part appeals to me. I mean, I'm the one sending chapters out on newsprint.
Right.
So I like that. I do like that, and I think that more people should be doing cool stuff in their communities. Mm-hmm. And you can afford to do it. You can't afford to make a movie for everybody. So it's the barrier to entry is lower.
Well, it kind of reminds me almost to jump genres again to poetry, where the poet laureate used to matter.
Yeah.
Right. Where you could say, hey, how come we don't have more Christian poet laureates or people writing Tennyson style, for a nation? And it's like, well, unfortunately, the readership just isn't there anymore. We now have spoken word as a hat tip for Biden, like that's what's happening. That's where our poetry is at.
Yeah, our poetry is sad.
And same thing with our poet laureates. They're just generally.
And we should have more Christian poets, and we should be better at it. I think that people who have the itch to tell stories, it's great to write plays. It's great to put on productions because I've told the story about my dad and the rake and the gravel. I know I have. We've done this a lot of times, but 3 days of raking gravel when we were building a house because my dad was insane. And he bought a book called How to Build a House, and we were going to build a house. So we're out there raking gravel, and after day 3, I'm telling him, Dad, I raked the gravel. Like, the gravel is raked.
It is flat.
I've been out here. I have raked every rock. I have raked all this gravel. And my dad's response was, God gave me a rake and he gave me gravel. So this is what we're doing until he gives me something else. And the whole time we're doing it, I'm praying, like, see, look what, you gave me a rake, you gave me the rocks, give me a backhoe, just think what I would do. And that's, was.
Did supplies finally show up?
Oh yeah. No, we built the house, but that's really stuck with me. And there's been a lot of times in my career when I have raked rocks, metaphorically speaking, where I'm sort of sitting there thinking like, okay, well, there's this thing I really want. There's this thing I really want that's over there. And I, for some reason, I don't know why, God has said no. He's not letting me do that thing. Mm-hmm. Well, what has he given me? What is he giving me? And in that way, I think that there are plenty of people who desire to tell stories, desire to tell narrative stories, performative stories, and they don't have the budget. They don't have the cameras. They don't have that. Well, if you're good, write a play. It's great. Write the play. Put on the production. Try to make it as good as you can. Rake the rocks. Reach the people you can reach. It's hard. It's not easy. Mm-hmm. It's absolutely hard, but it is doable. Like, it is actually a doable thing in a community.
Whereas making a feature film
is not.
I mean, what? There's 600 of those a year, 600 theatrical releases, like a pretty small number.
Yeah, it's I don't even know the numbers from last year, but it's like, it's been volatile. Let's just put it that way.
Because I was looking at, I think I found there's like 17,000 made in the past 30 years, and I was like, only 17,000? Like, that's not that many. And
the business model is wildly broken. I was on the phone right before I walked in here with a producer friend who we're talking through a distribution offer, distribution model from a studio, and looking at the waterfall of like, okay, the marketing money comes out plus 20%. And then this studio would start taking distribution, start taking their percentage. And then you get down to the next percentage, and the theaters take half off the top. And then all the stuff starts to carve down. We were looking at a project where it's like, wow, okay, so $25 million of equity. We take $25 million of investment from somebody into this project. We have to hit a $280 million box office to recoup that $25 million.
That's huge.
In theaters. Off this one particular,
right. Yeah.
Off this one particular offer. That's not the case with every studio. They all have different things, but that's insane.
That's
the whole industry is.
You need a smash hit in order.
Yeah, the whole industry is contracted. It's tough. Now, there's other ways to make money. If you had 280, your streaming rights are massive. You'll recoup. It's not like that's the only place to make money, but it's pretty wild. The barrier to entry is high. The whole industry is contracted, and if you have the gift of telling stories and you think you can affect people with your stories, by all means, go to the stage. Like, start doing it. Just start. So you have a rake, you have rocks, get started.
Right.
And then if you get really good at it and you're faithful with it, guess what will happen? Like, God's made promises. People who are faithful with a little will be faithful with much, and they'll be given much. So focus on that. Rake the rocks. But all this to say is, theater people are theater people. I can be critical. There's plenty of things about the culture that I can be critical of. I mean, not like I wouldn't be about film.
Yeah.
It's all similar.
I mean, I do think there's an aspect of theater where people get really snooty about it, and you get plays like Waiting for Godot or Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead, and it's like, we're deep into academia that hates God, and it's like for some reason taken over that genre. I don't particularly, or seems to have. I guess on the film side, it's just mass paganism has taken over the genre.
Yeah, but there are. I've heard this said about animation, and talking to some of the smarter studio executives I've talked to through my career. There was a couple of projects we were discussing, and they were saying what we want to do is we want to find those projects that demand animation, like that just demand it. If you think about what Disney and DreamWorks are doing, where they're taking stuff to live action, quote unquote, just differently animated. That kind of defeats that model. They wanted to tell stories that demanded the animation. They demanded this particular format. And that was really intelligent. They had a number of massive hits as a result of that approach.
Is that Disney, you said, or Pixar?
That was DreamWorks.
DreamWorks, gotcha.
So that was DreamWorks right in the Kung Fu Panda, How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, it just has to be told with animation.
The highest and best way to tell this story is via animation. That's the case for plays like Hamilton. Like the best way to tell this story and to do this thing is on the stage.
Performance being there, feeling the set piece. Yeah.
So it's the incarnational impact, the dancing, the singing, the whole thing. I think that particular spectacle is best on stage. And so if you're trying to tell stories that should be a short film or tell stories that should be a narrative feature on the stage, I would encourage you just to say like, no, there's things that the stage is the best for, and focus on that. Get really good at that. And then either you'll go up to bigger stages or you'll transition over into film.
Following along these lines, a few more questions. From an illustrator, overwhelmingly advice for picture book writers and illustrators who want to be published is to read lots and lots and lots of recent picture books, and that means books from the last 3 to 5 years. But when you read those,
suck.
Yeah, they're terrible. Yeah. So that's what this question is. How are you supposed to? How can an aspiring illustrator produce great, nourishing stories when the genre feels so specifically focused on 250-word picture books, to the exclusion of, even go back a few years, you get Bill Peet with. I
wouldn't read just recent ones. I would read great ones.
Okay.
So recent ones die the death. They're Kleenex. They go away. There's these tranches of picture books that come out every year, and of them, maybe none survive more than 5 years. They just come out and they die out. The die off is real. If you go back and you look at the Caldecott medals, like actual Caldecott medal winners through a couple decades, then you also move from there to that, from that kind of a Wardsley success to just units. Which ones have sold like mad? Which ones has the marketplace like endorsed as really, really compelling? Sandra Boynton, down to the really young, is a genius. Like she's an absolute genius. So what is she doing that causes her to sell hundreds of millions of copies? It's like, it's playful, it's simple, it looks so easy, but guess what?
Yeah.
Oh my, dinosaurs, or some of the ones that she's done, Barnyard Dance. Yeah, there's just some amazing ones. I mean, she's done a really, really good job. And
Hippos Go Berserk.
Yep. So she's sold like mad. So look at the award winners. Look at the ones that have sold, 8 figures, like things that have sold 10 million copies. There's a lot actually. Go to those, and then I would say specifically have an audience in mind. So if you read the ones that have succeeded, the ones that are in fact better than the others, and you focus on them, not just things that got published, but things that actually achieved and succeeded in the marketplace, and then you are making books for specific fat faces in your life. You have specific children that you're trying to create for. Do that and test it on them. Like find the ones that make them really happy. Find the ones that are really compelling there, and focus on that.
Okay, I've been on the other side of this though.
Sure.
Where you're genre snobbing pretty heavily. Where someone will send me a picture book submission, just make it up, or not picture book, sorry. a fiction story that's 20,000 words, and I'll just say I'm not interested. You're not writing in the genre.
Yeah.
Like the MG fiction genre has to be, at least double, probably triple, if you want to make money on this, because I can't sell a 20. How does a picture book illustrator who's trying to crack in do that kind of thing? Because they're going to say, I wrote this great classic book in the style of the classics, and it's 4 times as long as a normal picture book. And I think an acquisitions editor is going to say, sorry, not what I'm looking for.
Oh, there still are. So I'm not saying go back to the 70s.
Oh, okay.
I'm like last couple of decades. Again, you can go dip into the 90s if you want to, but
yeah,
like what's selling? Because publishers, as you might know,
are driven by money
to sell. They want to acquire things that are going to sell. And so if you met something that came across your desk that was not the traditional format, but you looked at it and you're like, ooh, this will sell.
Right.
Guess what? You'll want
do
it.
Yeah.
If you respond to somebody and say, this won't sell, you can be right or wrong. I've had that conversation with editors who were like, this won't work. This won't go. Yeah, it will. Yeah, it did. You can pivot and go take it somewhere else and then see it succeed. But ultimately, imitate excellence. And then if you're talking to an editor or a publisher and they look at something like, wow, you're pretty good, but we need to get this down to 32 pages.
Gotcha.
Your pitch here is for, this 52-page thing. We're not doing 52-page things. Can we get the best of this distilled down to 32? It's like, because that's what we can print. That's not a sad conversation for an artist.
Yeah. Right.
It's like now they've proved excellence and they're gonna be in the game.
And unfortunately, there's lots and lots of failure going into finding the right idea. So if you're having pre-readers who are not liking what you're doing, I mean,
yeah,
that's tough.
It is. It is pretty difficult. Picture books are harder than they seem. Like they're much, much harder than people might expect. So anyway,
there's that
too.
Okay. Finishing this off here with this question. All right. On the topic of writing stories that make the audience long for distant lands, is there a way to write a traveling adventure story so the reader will want to explore the corner of the world they currently live in instead of making them want to go to Europe or something?
Yeah.
Is that what you try to do?
Yep.
Lots of adventure in your stories and world traveling.
Yep. But also a real deep love of home. And frequently it's about actually finding home. So it's in Ashtown, the kids are already displaced, right? So the story starts, they're already in a motel. They're already displaced. They've lost this thing, but there is this desire for family and cohesion and home that is running through the whole thing. Lee Pike Ridge, it's home. Boys of Blur, it's where your roots are. Going back to home, and then things go crazy. Henry going to Kansas, he has to come to grips with the weirdness of the world in which he exists. So he's coming into Kansas as a foreigner, as an alien, and big red barns and baseball and barbecue, and just the stars are shocking to him. So everything is magical and wild. And then he starts in on the magical adventure. But in the end, he's defending home. He's defending this house, this place. And so, yeah, you can easily write stories that cause people to resent their place in the world. That's not hard. And that's wish fulfillment can take you there. It can be the wrong kind of,
if handled badly. I was trying to think of examples just coming off the top of the books that are getting you the wrong direction. And it's easy to go to, the Hallmark movie genre or romance novel type genre, perhaps the worst of fantasy, where it has nothing to do with reality or real life struggles. But do you have any examples off the top of your head of that bad kind of wish fulfillment that's doing the opposite of what you try to do?
So this is one of those things where this is an overstatement. So this is not true. This is hyperbolic, not universally true, I should say. But if you're reading books that make you want to close off the world, put on a costume and sit in your basement. If that's what you're doing, your desire is to shut the doors and just be in your imagination away from the world, then the evil is not necessarily in the book. It can be your reaction to it. It's not like it's the author's fault. It can be attitudinal in the reader. But there's also times when readers are in places in the world where they need the escapism to survive if they're in a really, rough place. But they ultimately are going to have to be a character in their story. They have to make choices. They have to start living in their own genre, in their own days, and they've got to, try to move faithfully through their own scenes. So when readers forget their own lives and forget the focus on being good characters in their novel, the one they're writing with their words every day and with their choices every day, and they forget to write a good book with their life, instead they close off, that's a problem. And it can be in the book itself, or it can be in the reader's reaction to a good book. So as a kid, I'd go over to my friend's house and, elementary school, great farmhouse, old farmhouse, big red barn, jump the creek, float the creek on styrofoam, which was what inspired Lee Pike Ridge, where we floated down, had this disaster in the creek on a big chunk of styrofoam. Across the creek was this quarry with this old horse-drawn combine broken down, sitting there that we'd climb around and play. We could run through the wheat fields with, pop guns, Red Ryder BB guns, and get barnstormed by a yellow biplane that we called the Yellow Baron. The crop duster pilot would chase us and, barnstorm us. And this could be as idyllic as you can imagine. Fishing in the creek, floating down the stream, climbing on the old combine, exploring the barn, and that mythos of America is kind of like, I've taken that and I've infused it in my stories, but that was real. That was like after school. That was my, that's where I went and played with my buddy. And I could easily go read the Narnia Chronicles and wish I lived somewhere cool. I could easily read, a novel of any kind and just be like, man, I wish I could have adventures. I wish I lived somewhere magical. As I sit on a molten ball of lava going Mach 86 around a star, playing with a Red Ryder BB gun and a crop duster, it's wild. So if Frodo could pick any magical world to live in, he should pick his. If I could pick any magical world to live in, I should pick mine. And I think that's the key.
That's the distinction. So as a reader,
if I could live in any world, any magical world, any fantastical world, I would pick this one for sure. And not Middle Earth, not Narnia, like right here. And that awareness is important. So you can try, or an author can write with a resentment of this world and this assumption that this world kind of sucks and I'm going to take you somewhere cool for once. And an author can not do that, but the reader can read it that way, and it can go unhealthy.
Gotcha.
Either way. So if you want to sit in your basement in your costume and imagine being somewhere cool for once.
So you almost don't care about the genre. You can do the costume with your relationship. You can do costume with your life, your boss.
Yep. Anything that makes you a worse character in your own story. It's like it's toxic somewhere. It's either toxic in how you're reading or it's toxic in how it's written. Like the material itself is a problem, or you are just consuming it badly. But you have a story to live. You have a story to write. And so the reason why we need soul food, the reason why we need stories is because we're narrative creatures living in a narrative art form. So we need to go live well as characters. And it's really easy for people to just get distracted by their fiction, to just desire that escapism all the time and not go be good characters in their own stories. And so we want that. We want everything we read, everything we ingest to be fuel to be good characters in our stories.
Nice. I think that's a great distinction. Speaking of our part of the world, I failed to catch a sturgeon this weekend.
Failed.
I was 15 minutes in and the line broke. I broke the line. It was a character failure. It looked like a cow jumped out of the water out there. I was like, I'm going to do it. I did not do it.
You did not do it, but you saw it.
It jumped. Yeah. It was awesome.
A sturgeon jumping is...
I thought they were way down, but he must have just shot straight up. Broke the water. Looked like a cow out there, man.
They're big. They're...
And then, I don't know. I keep thinking, like, what if I'd done it a little different?
What if I hadn't yanked? I've caught a pike once. That's the biggest pike I've ever caught. And I've caught, I don't know, 3 or 4. I haven't caught a ton, but this one was beefy. And I was picking up the dock at the end of the day. Mm-hmm. And, the kids are all going inside. We're in this lake house. We're borrowing for a couple of days. And, I'm going down there and the kids' fishing poles are on the ground. There's like this little... this terrible little fishing pole.
This is probably the Spider-Man pole.
Yeah, it's like a little Walmart pole, or I don't know. I don't think we bought it at Walmart, but it's that kind of little kid pole. And I'm gathering everything up, and I pick it up, and it has a little jig on the end. And so I flicked it in as I was just walking off the dock, and just saw this shadow just like rise. And boom! I had no steel leader on. It was a little kid jig.
Yeah.
And it was like, whoa, like drop everything and then, really, really go for the ride and just try not to break that line. And it was a fat razor, toothy roof of the mouth. And somehow that line held on that little pole. And I got that thing in. But most of the time I've had a pike hit. They're the most enjoyable fish to chase, but I've had that like full body come out, and then they just snap that line.
Yeah,
they just really
gone.
Yeah, and it's just watch it go away.
Man, this is a huge line, and it was 15 minutes, and I was getting tired, so I was like, and then it just snaps off, and you're just like, oh, dude, you
just open it one more time. Open the line.
You did it.
Just open the line.
Now I'm like everyone else. Who is
you have a fish that got away.
A fish that got away.
Welcome to the Fish That Got Away Club.
The other group of people who have also not caught a sturgeon.
I have not caught a sturgeon. I have made my uncle swim with one, but Herman the giant sturgeon. But I have not caught one.
Oh, dude,
catching one would be fun.
Anyways,
where were you?
The snake.
Where on the snake?
Past Asotin, down. What is that? What direction is that? South. It's pretty awesome.
That is pretty rad. That sounds enjoyable.
No, it's good. We caught a bull snake too. First bull snake for us, so that was fun.
Did you keep him?
No, we let him go. Probably should have brought him home. The boys are getting rats though. We're gonna load up on some rodents.
You're getting rats?
Yeah, dude, 3 of them.
When you get bored, bring them over to my snake Dave.
Dave can meet the rats.
He'd be happy. So the first snake we had was a bull snake that was caught down there. Along the Snake River, a little one that my uncle and my son caught together, and he kept him, named him Jack, and Jack the bull snake lived
quite a long time,
lived quite a while until he lost a fight with a mouse. There's a very gifted mouse, and
it's the kung fu panda of mice world.
there was one mouse in my sentimentality. I threw this mouse in there, and this mouse did a great job with Jack. And Jack was a wild snake, so he was not this used to frozen food. He was actually a very good hunter, but this mouse was just way too agile. And he lived in there for, I don't know, like 3 days with the snake. With the snake, Jack just kind of gave up. And so I was like, okay, you've earned the right to live. I'm going to go
release you.
I'm going to go release you.
Keep the mouse gene pool strong.
Yep. And so I take him out to the alley quite a ways away from the house, and I let the mouse go. Well, this mouse comes right back into my house.
What?
Yeah. And it comes in and it finds a hole on my basement door and is like sitting at the top of the basement stairs looking at me. And I was like, what the heck, man?
Like, this one's on me.
So I blocked the hole that he has now revealed that I hadn't been able to see under my basement door, that was able to get him in, and I took him back out there. Well, the next morning I come out and that mouse is outside the basement door, bitten in half. And it's just half of that mouse. So like a neighbor cat or something. It was just trying to get back in. He wanted to hang out with the snake. I don't know what's going on. But anyway, Jack died because he knocked out a mouse. He passed the mouse out via constriction and then swallowed the mouse, and the mouse was not dead. The mouse came to while being ushered down the gullet and successfully.
That's a tough way to go, though.
Yeah, successfully killed Jack from the inside. Dave, the black-headed python,
has done much better.
And we have not given him much live prey. I don't think we've given him any live prey. But anyway, so it went bad in the end. Maybe it's better you didn't bring the bull stink
Yeah,
back.
it's a great world we live in.
It's amazing.
Those are just out there.
It's amazing. It really is. And just be glad the tail wasn't rattling at you.
Well, I asked my son who caught it, did you check to see which kind of snake this was? And he said, yeah, it looked like a garter.
It didn't bite me.
Yeah.
Well, it did, but it didn't kill me.
Right. And
Perfect.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, yeah, the world is magical. Be a great character in it. So I think that's what the soul food's for. Nancy Drew or escapism, whatever it might be. As long as it's making you a better character in your story, go for it. Lay your life down. Your heartbeats cannot be hoarded. Your reservoir of breaths is draining away. You have hands, blister them while you can. You have bones, make them strain. They can carry nothing in the grave. You have lungs, let them spill with laughter. With an average life expectancy of 78.2 years in the U.S., subtracting 8 hours a day for sleep, I have around 250,000 conscious hours remaining to me in which I could be smiling or scowling, rejoicing in my life, in this race, in this story, or moaning and complaining about my troubles. I can be giving my fingers, my back, my mind, my words, my breaths to my wife and my children and my neighbors. Or I can grasp after the vapor and the vanity for myself, dragging my feet, afraid to die, and therefore afraid to live. And like Adam, I will still die in the end.